Greetings! Welcome to the Kitchen of the Sassy Pig. My name is Scott Cooper, and today we're going to smoke a brisket. Smoking a brisket takes several steps. We're going to do a dry rub, we're going to inject the brisket, let it sit in a fridge for 24 hours, and then we're going to put it on the smoke. So it takes a lot of planning. Because if you're planning on eating your brisket Sunday at 3 o'clock, that means the brisket has to be on the smoke Saturday night at 6 p.m. So Friday night is when you inject and rub your brisket to give it time to inject all those flavors. Now there are many different ways to smoke a brisket. If you get on AmazingRibs.com, Meathead has a complete write-up on the Texas crutch, mopping a brisket, different temperatures. You can read about those approaches. I do mine in a very traditional way. Comes out great. I've tried the other methods, haven't really seen any improvement for the way I smoke. So 14 to 16 hours at 225 degrees smoke, you'll come out with a wonderful brisket. So with that as an introduction, let's smoke. Now we'll make our dry rub. There are many different ways to make a dry rub, many different ingredients, many different approaches depending on what part of the country you're in. This one is my favorite. Take a quarter cup of brown sugar, quarter cup of white sugar. Now I'd like to say a lot of people don't use as much sugar in a rub for a brisket. I find that it caramelizes on the brisket the way I smoke it. It makes for a great bark and infuses all the flavors into the bark on the brisket. Then we're going to add a quarter cup of kosher salt, 2 tablespoons of smoked paprika, 2 tablespoons of garlic, 2 tablespoons of onion powder, 2 tablespoons of chili powder, 1 tablespoon of pepper, 1 tablespoon of chipotle seasoning, and 1 tablespoon of dry mustard. We mix that all up, making sure it's well mixed, no lumps. You could use a whisk. I'm happy to use using my hand does just as good a job. Now you can see it's well mixed. So we're done with our dry rub. We're going to inject the brisket with a solution made of low sodium beef broth and about a half a cup of beer. And you just need an injection needle, which you can get at a grocery store or at a high-end cooking supply store. It's very important when purchasing your brisket that you get a good quality cut of meat. This is called a packer. You can see it's extra thick on this side. Comes out thin. This is about 9 pounds, which is pretty small for a packer. They go up to 16, 17 pounds. But there's actually 2 muscles here. So we're actually going to inject the brisket, and then we're going to dry rub it, and then we're going to let it sit in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours. Injecting can be messy, so just be careful. You're going to space your injections about 1 inch apart. It will squirt. Now we're going to apply our dry rub. A little bit of extra virgin olive oil. This will help keeping the moisture while it smokes for 16 hours. Now that the oil is on the brisket, we're going to dry rub it. Let's take a generous amount, spread it all over the brisket. We flip the brisket over and then we'll do the fat side. Now comes the easy part. We just put it on a cookie sheet and we're going to cover it with cellophane and let it sit in the refrigerator for at least 24 hours. So here we go. It's all ready for the refrigerator. So our brisket's been in the fridge for the last 24 hours. Now we're going to be prepared to take it out of the fridge, get it up to room temperature, and prepare our smoker. My smoker takes about an hour to get up to the right amount of smoke. The wood we'll be using for smoking today, we're going to use some alder chips, as well as some Jack Daniel chips. Alder is a very light, mild wood. Jack Daniels, of course, is made out of oak, and you can't go wrong with a little bit of Jack Daniels flavor on your brisket. We're going to soak these in water for about a half an hour. We're going to end up smoking the brisket for about the first 4 hours of the smoke, and then let it rest after that in just low temperature, 225 degrees. If you put too much smoke on your brisket, some people like a lot of smoke, some people don't. Some people smoke with pecan wood, some people smoke with hickory, some people smoke with mesquite. All the woods have a very different flavor. You kind of have to figure out what flavor works best for you. And just make sure your wood chips are evenly mixed together. Let those sit for just half hour, 45 minutes. And just make sure they don't burn too fast. Go ahead and take your brisket out of the fridge an hour and a half, maybe even 2 hours before you're ready to smoke. You want to get it up to room temperature before you put it into the smoker. Looks like it's been seasoning pretty well. Got a little of the liquid from the injection actually leaked out, but that's to be expected. It's marinating the bottom part of the brisket. And then we'll get the smoke prepared. That takes about an hour to get that up to an even temperature as well and to get a good smoke going. So always plan a little extra time. To smoke the brisket, we'll be using a Smoke Vault smoker. It's a great backyard smoking device made by camp chefs. I actually did a lot of research and found some great analysis on AmazingRibs.com, which is a fantastic website if you've not seen it. This smoker actually runs on propane, and I do that so I can go to sleep at night. But I do have a light, as you can see, at the top of the smoker, so when I'm out here checking temps at 9, 10, or 11 o'clock at night, that I can see perfectly. This is a look at the inside of the smoker. It can hold up to 5 racks. As you can see, I have an additional thermometer in place. What I find is that wind conditions, temperature conditions always change how fast what your smoking temperature is, so it's worthwhile to have a industrial strength oven thermometer so you can double check what your smoking temperature inside. We have a water tray. We have our wood chip tray and about a 17,000 BTU burner down the bottom. It's still a little windy out here, but I think you can see a nice smoke coming off the smoke vault. So now we're going to add the brisket. Our outside temperature is running about 190, 200 degrees. I'm sure it's about 225 inside, but we'll double check that. As you can see, the brisket's loaded into the smoker. I'm now going to add a temperature probe so I can monitor the temperature throughout the night. I'm anticipating I'm not going to take this off till it reaches 203 degrees. So now that our brisket is done, we've been smoking for, actually this one took 17 hours. We're going to wrap it tightly in tin foil and we're going to put it into a cooler. So now that the brisket's wrapped, we're going to set it in a cooler for 3 to 4 hours. I've gone as long as 5. You really want the brisket to continue to cook a little bit, soften up the meat still, bring the juices back into the meat. It'll actually kind of baste itself while it's sitting in the tin foil. And then you can take it out, slice it up, and you're ready to serve. So hopefully you've enjoyed learning how to smoke a brisket. I hope you have the opportunity to smoke your own brisket real soon. If you follow the steps in this video, I'll guarantee that you will have a soft, succulent, and great tasting brisket that everyone will love. So until next time, thanks for visiting the kitchen of the Sassy Pig.